right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest in the building. This queen right here, multiple titles. Jalene Mack is in the building. Let's give a round of applause now. There we go. There we go. Man, well, you know what? Before we start this off, happy National Women's Month.
Thank you. Right, Tashay? Women's Month.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Like we said, hey, we can't do nothing. We can't do nothing without y'all. Okay.
Yes, and we appreciate the praise.
That's right.
I deserve it.
Got you. So let's go ahead and say it. So Jalene Mack, actress, TV and film producer, playwright, author. You keep counting, so make sure I get all of them. Founder, lawyer, philanthropist, entertainment lawyer, storyteller, all around superwoman. Oh my God, Jalene, come on.
Let's give her another round of applause, baby. That's a lot.
Writer.
Yep. All of it. I walk the walk and talk the talk.
Yes, man. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that.
That's amazing.
It is. That's a big feat. I was going to just start it off like, hey, how did you get into your profession and how did you start your career off?
Yeah, so I've been in the arts since I was a kid. You know, my mom and my godmother took me to community theater, and I remember seeing this show called Faces, and the theme song. You remember the song from like the 60s, 70s, smiling faces, smile. This is my generation, maybe not yours. But anyway, I was just amazed at seeing Black people in costumes on stage, live, entertaining folks, people in the audience laughing and all that stuff. That just kind of caught my attention, right? And then later, my mom, although of course my dad was very much in my life, my mom raised me, they were separated, and my mom raised me as a single child. So of course she has to find all kinds of events and activities to put me in. So she put me in everything. And I remember signing up in school for the speech contest, second grade, and won first place. And it just kept going. I was in dancing school. I was in the Brownies. I marched in parades. I grew up in New Orleans, so I was a majorette. I used to march in the parades. Just a busybody, you know, the only kid, a busybody. I was the only kid until my sister came along for 16 years later. So, but I do remember watching Facts of Life as a kid, and Kim Fields. Oh my gosh, she just reminded me of me. Little Black girl, pigtails, went to a private school, wore a uniform, you know, all that good stuff. And she was on national television on a TV show, and she was making people laugh. Once again, you know, there was just something about the excitement of you know, just working in that acting environment. And it just kind of stuck with me, and I stayed with it. And as I went to high school, I was in a drama club, and trust me, I signed up for every school play there was. And I did not want to be the little Christmas tree in the back. I wanted a lead role, right? Wanted to be seen and heard. And I just kept on doing it. All the talent shows, college, high school, you name it. And the acting bug just stuck with me, started taking acting classes along the way. And the very first gig I had was DJ Quick, Just Like Compton music video. And y'all remember DJ Quick?
I think I know DJ Quick. I'm trying to remember the music video.
Just Like Compton. Yeah, we got a whole bunch of songs. But anyway, so I was in that music video. I was in DMX Party Up. Y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here. Huh?
What? No, I'm like, wait, what? You was in D? Okay, I'm sorry. Keep going. It just the song, the videos you were part of. It just
IP to X.
They shot that music video in Houston. I'm sorry, in Texas, in Galveston. He was here for a show, and while he was here, the song was out, but they hadn't done the video yet. So they rented out this bank in Galveston, and we shot all day into the night. And matter of fact, there's a yellow shirt, kind of a gold shirt or something that he wore in the video, and he said he was gonna give it to me. But by the time it was time for me to leave, they had to go outside and do the night shoot, so he still needs a shirt. And I was like, damn, I'm not gonna get this shirt. So I just knew I was gonna bring it to him years later and remind him, hey, remember I was in your video, you're supposed to give me that shirt? Never saw him again, and of course now he's passed, but that's my little favorite DMX story. But yeah, I was in Ghetto Boys, 6 Feet Deep, Scarface, Now I Feel You. I was in a lot of music videos, salsa videos, you name it. So got to do that a little early on before he really even getting into the acting. You know, I shouldn't say getting into acting, but getting into feature films and things. So yeah, I got real grassroots in this game, as they say, and started from the bottom, and now I'm here. So how about that?
Yeah,
Hey, I
that's
love
amazing.
that. Love it, love it, love it. So, and now when you went to college, that's when you became a lawyer. That's when you became an attorney.
So I was in college and I really wanted to be an actor. I still wanted to be an actor. My mom lived out in LA,
Yeah.
and I was getting close to graduation, and I was a political science major, mass communications minor, and I knew that I couldn't be a starving actor, right? I needed a degree, but also it was that fork in the road. Do I go to graduate school? Do I move out to LA? Do I maybe go to law school because I need to understand contracts? There were so many people getting messed over back then. So like TLC, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Tony Braxton, they were all having problems like with their management or whatever, accounting, not understanding, what am I doing? All that stuff was happening. So I wanted to understand the small print. So I was saying, well, maybe I go ahead and go to law school, and not that I really wanted to be a lawyer, but practicing law was going to be my waitressing job while I pursued acting. And I just kept going. I passed the bar the first time. I started practicing, and eventually I started an entertainment practice at the firm where I worked. And that kind of led to me just doing entertainment law eventually. I started out in music law, and eventually movies, but I was also acting along the way. People in law school, they would go and do summer internships for judges and stuff. And I was doing music videos, trying to audition. I remember auditioning for like a LL Cool J music video at one point in LA, just stuff. I was trying to get in where I fit in on the acting side. And because really Houston had done some stuff in the 80s, but didn't really, hadn't really anything big occurred in the 90s, I don't think. So, you just had to kind of make it happen where you could.
Wow. You work with a bunch of goats. Scarface, DMX, LL Cool J, man, that's nice. When you're not busy working on set, what do you like to do on your spare time?
Well, everybody knows I have a nonprofit for performing arts, MAC Performing Arts Collective, M-PAC for short. And it's my way of kind of reaching the masses and giving back. I realized I had so many relationships with people in LA and, actors, comedians, executives behind the scenes. And then me as an entertainment lawyer, I could see close up and personal the common problems that people had, things like understanding their contracts, the importance of copyrights, things like that. And so I said, well, let me start this nonprofit. That way, maybe I can do some workshops and panel discussions and just do what I can through some grants to offer these services, like pretty much for free, where I could. And so that's part of what M-PAC does. It provides those tools and resources for people to be successful in the business, that are aspiring to be in the business, whatever it is, starting out with like the high school students. So of course that's near and dear to me, M-PAC. If I'm like totally not doing anything, nothing relating to the entertainment industry, I love boutique shopping and I love vintage shopping. So all my friends know I do not like spending full price for anything. So I'm always looking for a deal. So I totally enjoy that. But I mean, obviously, my friends, I love still going to the movies. I love the movie experience, seeing things on the big screen. I would rather actually go to a movie than to just sit at home and watch if I could. But yeah, I'm from New Orleans, so I'm very, very, very down to earth. I love a good time. I mean, I love festivals. They don't have to be film festivals. They can be like jazz fest and stuff. I'm just I'm Jenny from the block.
Gosh, you made me laugh right there when you said you be shopping. I started thinking about what's my Dave Chappelle. Women be shopping, boy. Women be shopping, boy.
Women be shopping.
We do love a deal.
Man, but yeah, Jalene is always fly, man. Every time I see her, I'm like, man, all right, Jalene, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll try to represent,
Oh,
my daughter once told me I had too many shoes. I was like, oh, that's blasphemy. What woman says that?
Man is never too many shoes.
No, right? Stop. Too many shoes. But yeah.
I have
Tell
this
her that.
bag that says, "There's never enough makeup."
Would you say that again?
I have a bag that says, "There's never enough makeup."
Never enough. Never enough.
Oh my goodness. So
Yeah.
let's talk about this. So, your first time on set, on stage, in the courtroom, et cetera, et cetera. How have you grown from then to who you are now? Give us your own thoughts. How much you've grown over the years.
Yeah. Well, they say all lawyers are actors, right? You can kind of see it in a courtroom. We have to have the confidence that we need to speak to a crowd and to engage you in our storytelling. If we're speaking to a jury and it's a jury trial or whatever. And I certainly had that kind of experience. I used to do litigation. There was a time that I did a lot of things other than entertainment law. So I was a family lawyer. I did divorces, child support, child custody, visitation, name changes, parent adoptions, all the things that happen in family court. And I also did landlord tenant. I handled administrative, environmental matters, all kinds of stuff. I work for a small firm, so they just kind of throw you in and say, start swimming. And I did criminal trial work. I've done a lot of stuff over the years. But I finally stopped doing all the extra. I used to do PI, just a general practice. And I probably stopped doing really anything that's not related to entertainment and small business. I feel like maybe 7 to 10 years ago. So I have a lot of practical experience moving around, right, in the courtroom. I'm a mother. I'm a wife. So I have life experience. I'm 55, so I have plenty of life experience. So you take all of that, and then you can move it into an acting role, right? You can move it on set for whatever character you're playing, whatever piece you're a part of, whatever ensemble cast you're a part of. I'm used to working with teams. I'm used to working silo. So I'm very adaptable. So I wouldn't say it was hard for me. I think it was hard for other people to accept who I was that didn't know who I was already. Some people met me, people know you where they meet you, right? So some people met me as a lawyer, not knowing I was an actor before I was a lawyer. So then you have those people go, oh, you're doing that acting stuff? You wasting your law career? No, not really. Because I was already an actor. So you might want to say I'm wasting my acting career, right? But the best example that I can explain why it all works for me. One, there's a play that I co-wrote with my deceased writing partner now, Gary. But the play was called The Great Divide. 7 sold out shows, wonderful, wonderful performance. Well, I turned around and I took that play that I wrote as a playwright. Well, I acted in it as an actor, right? I was one of the producers on it. And I turned around and I negotiated the movie rights. So I put my lawyer hat on, negotiate the movie rights, and now it's a movie that you can go, see on whatever. And I know it's on YouTube, the full thing called The Great Divide, but I'm also a producer on it and a writer on it. And so I put all the hats on and made money from all the hats. So I you know how it is in this business. All you guys can relate to this. We have to wear multiple hats. Not everybody that's in outside the entertainment industry understands that, right? And you'll get more naysayers than you get believers until you're a big name. And then you also have people in your own circle, in your own community that don't get that you are somebody, right? In your own right, or you are doing amazing things in your own right. They don't get that until you get validated by somebody who lives 3 states over, right? So you get that too. So sometimes not everybody understands certainly the mission or understand what you're doing and the purpose. And I've learned that a long time ago. Now it doesn't matter because everybody just gets it because I do so much more now. But early on, the transitions to doing all the things that I did in life they were easy for me, just hard to swallow for other people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Completely understand.
Yeah.
Everybody's not going to see the vision.
No.
Yeah.
Everybody's not going to see the vision that you have and the vision that you dream about and what's been placed on you. So it's like sometimes it's a lost cause trying to help everyone understand. It's like, just sit back and watch me work.
Right.
When you see the finished product, give me the praise.
Just show up. Yeah. I think that it's to this day, some people are still disconnected. I can't even bother to explain to them anymore. But anyway, you guys get it.
I always like to ask this question. As far as, Houston has a really deep talent pool, a lot of great projects are coming out of this area now. I mean, what's the biggest difference you've seen from how things were, years ago to now, and where do you see the future of the Houston entertainment community going?
My very first film that I worked on here in Houston was, I think, in 1993. My very first film client was Greg Carter, and he had a film called Fifth Ward, which is not a TV series, but Fifth Ward, the movie, I want to say we did that in 95, somewhere around there. And we shot that film. I was an associate producer on there and the lawyer. We shot that film on 16 millimeter, not 35 millimeter, not digital, HD, which you have today, like literally where you still had to get film developed and stuff, and it was more grainy and all that. So I've seen technology change considerably. I started the music career when there were chain franchise music stores. So I was through the transition of when we went from cassettes to CDs, and from CDs to digital, and record stores closing down. So I've certainly seen the transitions and the trends nationally as well as here locally. We used to have Southwest Wholesale was the big place to go take your music and get it distributed. So I've definitely seen a lot of changes. But what I've also seen, of course, actors having to audition in the casting director's office or in their agent's office. We don't have to do that anymore. Everything's by video. So there's a lot of pluses to where we are. And with all those changes and the internet, FedEx, a flight, cell phones, video calls, all these things have taken Hollywood out of LA and placed it across the country, right? So now Hollywood is not just in LA. It's not just the New York. It's entertainment industry. It's in Louisiana. It's in New Mexico. It's in Michigan. It's in Atlanta, right? It's in Georgia. So it's everywhere now, which is great. In addition to that, obviously there's tax incentives in other states that we don't necessarily have here. But the beauty of shooting here in Texas, and what I've seen in Texas is, because there's more streamers and more distributors and more need for content, now we at home here in Texas, we were struggling as filmmakers to have to leave to go shoot our project somewhere else. We were struggling as actors to leave to go act somewhere else. We can stay here and we can shoot our own projects here. Some are clearly going to be better than others just because the resources might be limited on some productions. But I think everybody should just, shoot their shot, as they say, right? But shooting it when it comes to making movies and television shows, instead of writing a script and sitting and collecting dust, instead of twiddling your thumbs, waiting on the phone to ring for somebody to offer your own, write your own production, produce your own production, join somebody's team just to get the experience, invest in somebody else's production just to walk through the experience so that next time you do yours, you know how to do X, Y, and Z. So all those things are very doable now. I think what hasn't grown with technology and with the advancement of the industry in Houston is sometimes the maturity level of the filmmaker. And I don't mean maturity level like they're a kid, but maturity level in business decisions, in respecting the craft, in respecting women on set. I don't think that's necessarily evolved with everybody. There are some filmmakers that do have a reputation of the casting couch mentality that still exists. There are the filmmakers that still criticize somebody else's work, like, oh, they doing all those thug movies or just whatever, right? And to each his own. There's a market for everybody, and I think so. I think that, but I don't think because we don't have a huge entertainment industry that we necessarily have to all join in unity to work on the same project and promote each other in unison as a team. We don't have to do that either. We it's okay to do our own thing in our pockets and our circles, because that's what a team is for, right? Macy's is not calling up Bill and say, hey, y'all want to get together and sell shoes, So it's okay that there's more than one shoe store. There's more, all that stuff. So I thought there was a time early on in the 90s that a unity project could have worked, but that was because the resources were so limited. But now you don't have to wait on somebody else, and you can do your own thing. I do think it would be nice if we had more of a centralized community, like a town, by example, we have Alameda, right? And there's all these bars and restaurants. And so we know that's where you go for a good time, right? It would be nice if we had a strip of everything entertainment related, not everything, but like a central place, right? That kind of draws us in. That would be cool. So like studios, or a studio that has a bunch of, film entertainment stuff around it. I mean, that would be great. I think the Film Commission does its share of trying to keep us all connected. But anyway, yeah. So I've seen changes, and then I see what we can improve to.
Yeah, I love that I love that you said that too, because I went to the Film Commission meeting this past last week on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And they really were touching on the things that you was talking about. Like, we do need that more here in Houston, and they would love for these major TV shows that we see to film here, because we have the talent. And you said it perfectly.
It's not us. It's not the city. It's not the talent. It's the state government, because they have to create a statewide incentive that is attractive to bring the big studios here. And I know there's some disadvantages that we have, which we don't have state tax, which, as living here, we love that. But it'd be nice if we did have some other pool of resources for the state to pull from. So, much like Louisiana. And I mean, truth be told, Republicans are in office. It is political too, because there's no interest from a Abbott and Republicans to build the entertainment industry, right? Even when Rick Perry was in office, he did away with the there was like a regulations of like talent agencies and stuff like that. Like, he started peeling things away even back then. Like, no interest for this, no need for this or whatever. So if they don't see the film business as another commodity, as another way of economic growth, of creating jobs, like in California and all these other places, then it's hard to convince anybody else, because things trickle down, right, from the state.
Right.
And the mayor does what he can. The closest we have is HAA, Houston Arts Alliance, and other grants that we might be able to get, but that's for small artists, that's for a festival, that's for small time things. That's not like multi-millions of dollars to bring a whole studio lot in. So that's the big problem. But we have a lot of experts and dedicated people fighting the good fight for us. And I've been in this industry a very long time, and I'm doing what I can on my level within my resources to add to that, but more so to sustain what we have, right? To not discourage what we have already, because you can easily get frustrated and be like, what, I'm just moving. But the more we can kind of create and keep our synergy going with who and what we have here, the better. I think COVID helped us. A lot of people in the entertainment industry moved back here, right? A lot of athletes live here in the off season. They, we, like you said, we have the people here. It's just more infrastructure needed.
I have a question. Like, from what you were talking about, does it seem like, or what's the difference between what's going on here in Austin? It seems like a lot of times I hear a lot of people saying that the arts period is booming in Austin, but we're trying to get on the same kind of circle, the same kind of turnaround with what they're having going on. So what is the big difference between what's going on there and here?
Right. So first of all, Austin is the capital. there's a whole different kind of energy there with that type, with politicians and business people and headquarters of big companies in Austin, right? And then Austin also, their entertainment industry, in my opinion, boomed from the music business that existed in Austin. Of course, they have the major festival like South by Southwest. It gets national attention. I mean, they talk about South by Southwest on Jimmy Fallon. You know, get the national artists, they get the emerging artists that we end up hearing about later, right? It gets a big record deal, or they YouTube sensation or whatever. So there's a lot of synergy there anyway. Austin is also like a little LA in many aspects for people, you know, who right, you know, from the green living to they call Austin Ranch Valley, like there's Silicon Valley in California, because there's a lot of computer business there. Right. So there's a lot of, and you know, and it's a small big city. It's a small country city. It's kind of that combination. It's just, you know, lush lands, you know, the hillside, mountains, you name it. There's a lot of attractions there. Right. Yeah. And if you kind of come to Texas and you want to feel a little bit like California, but you want to have a foot in the entertainment industry and feel like you're more in an industry town, I think Austin's a place to be. And of course, we can't leave out UT, you know, big football town. It's just a lot of things that attract. 6th Street is like Bourbon Street, you know. So there's so many things there that attract people to stay and want to live and settle down, because it gives them the vibe they need without the cost that they may have left back in California, for instance.
And I see it moving, because last year, me and my wife, we celebrated our anniversary in Austin, in the hillside country part.
Right.
And they told me, a lot of people have told me that that's going to be like the new Calabasas, but of course I didn't see it.
Yeah.
When you get there and when you see it, it's like, yeah, this is going to be, in the next 10, 15 years, that's going to be the new California.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things that's moving into that area, is building, is momentum to be something big in Austin.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, other than Trump believers and, you know, and I'm just going to say it, you know, Republican politics, Texas is a wonderful state to be in. I love Texas. I lived in Louisiana and New Orleans. That's where I grew up. And I've moved around. And the only other place that I considered, if I didn't go to Xavier for undergrad, I would have gone to Howard as an option. And then DC is the only other place I really ever wanted to live. It's just so expensive. But it speaks to my core too, you know, outside of the entertainment industry. But Texas, to me, is like you get the best of all worlds here. Yeah. You know. And as far as weather, what do they say? Just wait a minute, it'll change.
When I figured out, when I found out that 50 Cent moved out here, I was like, okay. Right. I think that was the moment where it kind of dinged on me that, like, okay, so it is true, like a lot of people are moving here.
And he really did move here, like he really has a place here. Not to say he gave up anything else, but he actually has his place here, and he's doing things here, and he's doing things with the mayor. And I haven't had the pleasure of running into him yet. I feel like that's going to come up at some point, you know, because people in the entertainment industry, at some point, we're in the same circle. But yeah, that's why I said during COVID was actually pretty good for us. We had a lot of people from California and New York move here, and people were in the industry. And I met this one girl, I won't even say her name, she'll figure out what I'm talking about. But I met a lady who had moved here from California some months back, and somebody was trying to tell her that I was in the entertainment industry, and they were just kind of trying to summarize it up, kind of like you do with the intro, like, oh my gosh, she does this, that, and the other. And she was like, oh, okay, that's cute. You're acting here? Oh, okay. And so it was kind of condescending, right? And so I said, where'd you move from? She said, oh, I'm from LA, you know, and I moved back and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so she had asked me some questions like, oh, that's cute, my answers, right? And she said she was a producer and she had done some other things. And I'm like, oh, okay. But she downplayed me so much, and I produced too. And just because I live in Houston doesn't mean I don't work on things, you know, that affects us nationwide or whatever. Right. And I've produced in California and blah, blah, blah. And so when I started asking her more questions, she didn't go as deep as I thought she did, you know. So it was like, oh no, well, I'm a producer, but I just got over here and I haven't done such and such, but I'm trying to do such and such, you know. It was those kind of answers. And I'm like, well, I did this. Now, I'm not a person to pull out my credentials, but when you make me feel like this,
you're right. Like, little did you
You have
know.
to.
when
You have to.
when you look at me like this, I gotta make you realize you looking through the peephole. You gotta step back. You know what I mean? And with the big picture, I was like, wait a minute, you're not gonna make me feel like silly. So after that, we became buddies. And but she just represents people who think, people outside of Texas, of what they think about folks trying to do entertainment in Texas. You know what I mean? Like if your zip code is 713-281-832, what are you doing? You don't have 818?
Yeah. Why are you here? Yeah.
363? So anyway, that was my little experience, kind of recent. And
it's crazy.
If you listen to this interview, but you know what we went through.
We good now, but you know.
Do you have artists that are kind of with contracts that are like trying to come out, or you like to work with people that are a little bit more established?
So I'm a lawyer. When it comes to all of my entertainment professions, my trade is I'm a lawyer, right? That's how I make my bread and butter mainly. So my clients are my clients. I meet them where they are in their careers, and I don't necessarily take everybody, only because some people aren't ripe yet. You know, they really don't need a lawyer yet. They're just kind of lining it up. There are people that I'm a philanthropist. You know, that's why I have M-PAC. So I've always discounted my fees because I know how hard it is to get a project off the ground. I try to do flat fees as opposed to hourly fees because it'll eat up your budget. And I try to steer you in a direction to do something yourself if I can, where if I know you don't really need a lawyer for that, this is all you need to do, right? Or I try to give you the information, you know, I try to answer a question or kind of get it done for you if it doesn't take too much away from what I'm doing. It doesn't cost me a lot of time. So I try to do as much as I can with whoever it is. You know, some people are way more established and are off to the races, and other people are trying to figure it out. And I just try to help who I can. And if I can't help them, I might have another attorney to refer them to or something like that. But everybody needs a lawyer from the very beginning. But I do think you need to understand the business from the very beginning, or understand the business that you're in better, right? Because even as a lawyer, like, people come to me and they want me to look at their contract. But if you don't understand what you're doing and the business of what you're doing, I can explain it to you, but you may not get it if you don't put something into it yourself, right? Right. And I would prefer somebody to read the agreement before they come to me and be generally familiar, so they can, you know, whatever they don't understand, I can explain to them. But even when people come to me and say, well, I just don't understand this one provision. This happened to me a couple of weeks ago. Somebody emailed me, and it was for an investment opportunity that they had. And they said, hey, can you just read these 10 pages? Well, the contract itself was like 21 pages. So I'm not being a good lawyer to you if I only read that isolated section, because I don't know that I'm giving you the best advice, given the fact that there's so much, you know, other language in here that might not be to your favor or might affect the 10 pages that I'm reading. So, yeah. So, but anyways, I think it's important to have a baseline understanding of the business. That way, you're not relying on everybody else, right? Because I can give you the best advice I can give you based on your circumstances. But at the end of the day, that's your name on the contract, right? It's your deal. So I want you to feel good about it with having some understanding, some understanding of your craft. I know a lot of people are like, I just want to be a talent. I just want to be talent.
That's a good question, because I always ask myself, because when you see it unfold, like an artist, whatever, they in good with their record label, then give it like the next 6 years, they want out of their deal. Why is that? Like, do they I guess they just get into something that they don't know, or they, because I hear so many different stories about advanced.
Yeah.
That's the same thing with actors too. Actors get into their deals and they want out with the studio.
Yeah. So with record deals, oftentimes it's either not explained clearly or is not understood clearly, right? And whoever's explaining to you, you got to take that with a grain of salt, because is it the label explaining it to you?
Right,
right. Or is it your manager, or your business partner, or somebody who cares dearly, has your best interest, right? But oftentimes, even with somebody having your best interest, if they're not a lawyer, they may not understand exactly what that language means. And by example, you may sign a let's say it's a 3-record deal, right? Mm-hmm. And in your head, you're thinking, oh, it's just going to be 3 years. Maybe in your head, you're thinking a 3-record deal is 3 years, right? When in actuality, it's 3 records. So your contract will begin when you sign, but then you have to go in the studio and record. You got your producers, you got all the stuff you got to do, right, to even get the album done, approved, song selected, blah, blah, blah. That might be 12 months into the first year. Yeah. Right? So then you got to release it, and the language might say, that that basically, the first I guess like term or recording period, it might end like, that's not recording period, but like before the next album is due. It might end like 12 months after release or something. So maybe you're 2.5 years after you signed, right? And you haven't even gotten to the second album yet. So it could be circumstances, events, dates, things that trigger how long you're actually in that agreement. So you might sign an agreement thinking, oh, this is going to take 2-3 years, and you end up in it like 6-7 years later, and you still got one more album you got to deliver. You ain't even start that one yet. So it just kind of depends, obviously, how it's written. I know labels were doing these 360 deals. I don't know that many people are still doing that now, because oftentimes you're getting just singles now that are getting pushed. And that's another thing, though, the beauty of being an independent record recorded artist. I mean, you can put your music on, SoundCloud and trying to say Apple and, all the streaming platforms now. You can do it yourself. And
yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, and YouTube. And you can still get discovered on YouTube. Yeah. You can do a music video, and monetize it while you're waiting to be discovered. Right. So Instagram, all that stuff. So it's just so many ways to get out there now and collaborate. And I will say social media obviously is a game changer, because a lot of people do look at their DMs. You'd be surprised. I booked Phase on Love as a comedian. I used to produce these comedy workshops for M-PAC, and I did 8 of them. And I didn't know Faison before he came, but I just sent him a DM in his messages. And not only did he come, he wouldn't let us pay for him. He wouldn't let us pay for dinner for him. He wouldn't let me fly him in. He paid for all this stuff. He just wanted to come in. I took him to Provision High School. We talked to the kids. He did my comedy workshop. He just refused to let us spend money. He knew we were a nonprofit and we were, giving back. And so, but I'm like, good thing I asked, and I was a friend. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm, trying to put out a few songs this year, and I'm definitely not signed to anybody or tied down into anything. And I'm just I'm so careful with everything, because I don't want to do anything that I regret. So I'm careful with who I work with and how I do it.
Yeah, well, watch the paperwork and do your paperwork. It's always it's always a tough position when you're with the label and the label's also managing you. That's an inherent conflict of interest there. And then obviously, sometimes you go in the studio and somebody's recording and you help them rewrite their verse or whatever, and you expect a writing credit, a writing share, and they're just like, nah, this 100, this all me.
Yeah, I heard that stories too about not getting any writing credits.
Yeah, it happens all the time. You got to do those split sheets. You got anybody else on here, music artists?
No.
I know I'm going through something right now because for some reason everybody have a different understanding of the word exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody have a different understanding of the word exclusive, and I think that's one of my main problems that I'm running into because, like I said, I'm doing everything independent. So I like to pay for my beats up front. I like to, if I get somebody to write on my stuff, I like to pay them up front, and I expect for everything to be exclusive. And when it comes down to the ending of everything, it's like we got into this one point where the first time I got someone to write for me, and she was definitely under the impression that I like everything to be exclusive. So it's more like I hire, like I hired her. Right. And she's like, no, I want my credits, I want my this, I want my that. And I'm like, that's not what we signed up for. This is supposed to be exclusive. So, I'm trying to understand. She's like, well, if I wrote for you, I have to be added on to the paperwork as the writer. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm trying to understand everything from everybody's point of view.
Yeah. It's important to have these conversations up front. It really is. The creative conversations, the business conversations, just to have some clarity. And of course, I have clients that go in the studio all day and record, and they got music coming out and the paperwork's not finished yet. And it's not a big deal if there was a clear understanding and now we're just making sure everybody sign off on the paperwork. But when you're introducing an idea of claiming ownership or expecting to get paid, and you bring it up after the fact, and you bring it up after the budget is exhausted, right? The budget is spent. Everybody else has gotten their credit, and now you're trying to squeeze credit that's already been allocated. So where's that credit coming from at this point? Because you're kind of late asking for it, and nobody wants to back up and give up their credit, and blah blah. You get all that stuff happening afterwards, and it just leaves a salty taste in everybody's mouth, obviously. So yeah, it's just one of those things. Clearly, have a conversation up front. And if you can get all your contracts out the way up front, that's fine too. Sometimes the contracts come later because you don't even know if you really want to still work together. You might have an idea to work together, collaborate, but until you go in that studio, right, and figure out who's doing what, then you really don't know what your deal is sometimes till after the fact, especially with the writing stuff. Because that's just a whole song that you wrote up front, and you expect 100%. Your writer's share, but you just never know. If somebody's buying the song from you, they might do some revisions on it or whatever, and now they want a writer's share and a writer, some of the publishing and a writer's credit as well. So definitely have those conversations up front.
Yeah, because that's definitely what happened throughout the whole writing process. Like I feel like we co-wrote it because I was sending verses and things to her to put in, and we kind of collaborated and put the song together. So I was like, so just kind of work. Just trying to do this year because I started out in a band and we didn't have all these problems. It was you get contracted to work, the whole band gets, their share of whatever was made, and everybody goes their own way. But when it comes to going into the studio, it's just so many different parts and pieces that have to be done to get one body of work done. And it's like you want to be known as being fair to everyone because you don't want to be unfair, but you also don't want to be manipulated either. So you have to know more about it to know what moves to make. And that's where I'm to the point where I'm trying to educate myself more about the business so that I can know what's supposed to be done.
There's a book that I would suggest. I know we can go on to another topic, but there's a book that I suggest I used to read, and I tell everybody it's called All I Need to Know About the Music Business by Donald Passman. When I don't know, it may have been his first or second edition when I got it, so I'm sure it's like 20th edition because he was always updating it, but that's a good book to read. All I Need to Know About the Music Business by Donald Passman, and it's really basic. At this point you can get so much stuff online, but that's kind of a one-stop shop Bible, if you would, of the music industry, especially as an independent artist. I would suggest that.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
When it's all said and done, right? What do you hope to have accomplished at the end of your career in acting and in law?
Well, acting wise, I've lost the spunk of. I shouldn't say spunk. That's not it. I haven't lost the fire either. But I've retired that. Oh, I got to audition. I got to audition. I got to audition. Right. For everything that comes my way, or I got to audition. Looking for an audition. I'm past that. I got over that process of auditioning for a role against everybody else. And half the time you're auditioning for the role, you're probably not going to get it anyway. Or you audition for the role and they've really given it away already. I've seen that happen time and time again. And the running up and down the highway, to auditions that could have been a video submission, all that stuff. So I'm past that. But I was able to get past that because I started producing myself anyway. And I work so much on projects as a lawyer and in different circles and know about so much that oftentimes, they just ask me, hey, Jane, will you take this part? I get offered a role just because I've done so much at this point, which is great. So that whole chasing down audition, I'm over that part. But as an actor, I've never worked with Will Smith, would love to work with Will Smith. He's one of my favorite all-time actors. And I tell everybody I was mad at him just a little bit behind the slap because I like Chris Rock too, but I'm over him. Matter of fact, I want to show y'all something real quick. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
And exclusive.
Exclusive. See how you said, Tashay, you said exclusive, and here come exclusive. Look at that. Now,
I am legend.
I'm sitting down, but this is. Do y'all remember Blockbusters?
Yeah.
So this is from the display when the movie came out, and it was him watching the dog. But I had to go ahead and throw the dog away after a while. But I'm a big Will Smith fan, so a lot of people, everybody knows they were trying to get Will to call me or something for I think it was my 50th birthday. But I'm a big Will Smith fan, so I heard he's going to be. I'm shooting a movie producing a movie in Atlanta, and I heard they're shooting Bad Boys there when we're shooting. So I'm hoping I get to meet him. But
I'm hoping you get to meet him too.
What was that?
I said we're hoping you get to meet him too.
Yes. So I want to work with Will Smith. Love to meet him. And as far as settling down and retiring, there's a few things I plan on doing. I have a couple of movies, micro budget movies that I'm going to shoot that are under my own banner, more near and dear to me because I'm always a producer on somebody else's project, but I have some of my own stuff that I want to do. So I have those things coming up. I'd love to write more books. I don't know if you guys know, I do have one book out.
Yeah.
One book.
Oh, yes. Bring it closer to the screen so that people can see it.
Yeah, it's
close to the top.
The Business of Stage Screen in Between. So this is a business book that I wrote back in 2017. It's on Amazon's Kindle. It's been around for a while. It has some ebooks coming out. But I would love to write more novels, actually. And I have a number of scripts that I've been writing on. But if I had more leisure, it'd be like, let me fly off to Belize or, go down to Miami. I love Miami. And just write if I could. There's a few books that I started that I want to finish. So I actually want to do more writing for certain. And I do like speaking engagements, and I'm trying to get M-PAC to the point where it doesn't have to be Jalene always, in front and lead for M-PAC. But so many people associate me with M-PAC, but that's okay too. So, but I want M-PAC to live a long time and be my legacy. But yeah, those are kind of things that I want to do, kind of on the other side of practicing and all the many things that I do. There's some more plays. I have a one-woman show that I wrote. I haven't had time to plan out and do it. I need to just set a date, and then that'll probably force me. But just so many things get in the way. You know how it is, y'all. We wear all these hats, So, but yeah. I used to say I'll stop practicing law, but you know how it is. If your mind works, right? So even the doctor who says, I'm going to retire, you best believe if you fail in front of him, he will get down and assess you. So,
Right.
so
please. Please, doctor.
I don't go to court anymore. I'm more transactional now, so which is good. So I really should call myself the contract lawyer because that's all I do. Contracts. But yeah, so I don't know that I'll stop practicing law ever. But people do ask me, hey, so you still practice law? Yeah, I've been a law for this degree. Never ever stop. Let it be known. I tell people I practice law every day. So, and the beauty of having a license in anything, whether you're a real estate broker, CPA, whatever, you can practice out the trunk of your car. You know, the license attaches to you. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for the education and everything, Jalene.
Yeah.
Last thing before you go. Well, two more things, but one last thing. Last question. Any advice that anyone has shared with you that you still live by today?
Absolutely. And I don't know if someone shared with me, but I read it somewhere. And it's like an old African proverb. And it says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to travel far, go with a group. And what I learned from that is obviously if you want to sustain in life and you want to do big things and you want to be in this business for a while, make sure you have a good team and you know, or tribe, you know, your circle. And that can be a mixture of professional people, you know, and your friends, but definitely don't do it alone. Yeah.
That's good.
I like that.
Doing it alone here.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Y'all, this was not an interview. This was just a kickback. I enjoyed myself talking to y'all, you know.
That's
But
really
these
We
managers-
enjoyed it too.
Thank you. I feel like we're all in the same room, you know, and just sit back, just having a conversation. So this was really good. I appreciate it.
Thank you. No,
Thank
you deserve to sit back and relax. You've been moving, going everywhere. So yeah. So yeah. Thank you.
More to come. Look, I'll see you somewhere else.
We're gonna run into each other. Trust me.
Yeah.
Hopefully so, yes. We're gonna speak it.
Yeah.